Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Jeffrey Uzamo. Let's bring you up to speed with the big happenings in politics and in the polity at midday. People's Democratic Party in Ogun State launched campaign for presidential and National Assembly elections ahead of 2027. Governor Ademola Adeleke appeals for cooperation and unity among citizens as Osun State marks 35 years. Thanks again for joining us. The campaign season is upon us, so that is going to be the core of our conversation today on the program. But before all of that, let's talk about President Bola Tinubu urging the management of the Nigerian liquefied natural gas, NLNG, to do all within its powers to ensure Nigeria derives maximum benefit from its gas reserves rather than allowing them to be flared. The president said this at the State House, where he received members of the NLNG board led by his managing director and chief executive officer, engineer Adele Falade. He commended the team for maximizing and increasing organizational capacity, adding that the company was ensuring a good return on investment. President Bola Tinubu assured the team that he would do whatever is within his power to incentivize them to maximize the organization's potential for Nigeria's benefit.
We must be able to take out the flaring and convert potential environmental liability to what could be strategically and economically beneficial to the consumers in the Republic. Any other incentive that might be necessary to stimulate growth and expand your capacity, I will be willing to do that. We look straight far into the future and believe that this country has what it takes. But whatever assets that we have in the ground is nothing unless it's brought up to service the economy, the people, and realization of a good return on investment.
President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, talking about a possible incentivization to support the NLNG to expand its capacity with a team right there. But let's talk about politics, where the Democratic Leadership Alliance, DLA, has announced Moses Adebutu as its presidential candidate for the 2027 presidential election. The party made a decision following the withdrawal of party's national chairman, Mr. Samuel Meme, from the race. Mr. Adebutu was issued a certificate of return at a media briefing in Abuja.
We believe that government can become accountable, and we believe that Nigeria can once again become a country where every citizen has hope in the future. It is in this spirit that the Democratic Leadership Alliance presents Dr. Moses Adebutu as our presidential candidate for the 2027 general elections. I believe in his ability. I believe in his energy. I believe in his commitment to Nigeria. And I believe that with the support of the Nigerian people and the collective strength of the Democratic Leadership Alliance, we can offer this country a new direction. To Nigerians at home and abroad, I say Do not give up on Nigeria. The challenges are enormous, but Nigeria can still be rebuilt. The future can still be secured, and better leadership is possible.
Let's also tell you, party supporters in large numbers stormed the streets of the three Ogun Central District on Wednesday as the People's Democratic Party flagged off its campaigns for the 2027 presidential and National Assembly elections. For Ewekoro federal constituency, where the flag-off began, party supporters waved to usher in the PDP governorship candidate in the state, Honorable Adebutu, deputy governorship candidate of the state, Hajia Yemi Soumi Kolakbo, senatorial candidate Senator Iyabo Obasanjo, and other dignitaries for the flag-off of the Agbado station. It was the same in Abeokuta North federal constituency.
We are sending to you to remind you that all the first times of Nigeria in recent times were under leadership of our state party, People's Democratic Party. Exemplified by what Baba Obasanjo did and factor is successful. Excellent! Now, I assure you, happy days are coming again. Very, very soon. In January, the new dawn will break for the better development.
Of that, the governorship candidates in Ogun State launching that campaign. But let's talk to you about Osun State. I want to come back to Ogun State as part of our major conversation today on the program. Osun State is marking 35 years. The governor had a statewide broadcast where he reeled out the journey of the state, but as well was also conscious of the fact that the election was very tumultuous, where people died, and he commiserated with people who have lost their lives and the families, as well as asking the people to cooperate as he heads for another 4 years of his term.
When I look back and review the past and recent development, I cannot but applaud the commitment and unrivaled passion of our people for the growth and development of Osun State. I recognize the pains and sacrifices of our people in the last few months. We all recognize the unfortunate disruption in our lives due to the recent governorship election. In many fora, I sympathize with many families who lost loved ones. Your sacrifice and those of many who are injured will not go in vain. On the day of election, you troop out en masse to exercise your voting rights. You did so with candor and fearlessness. Amidst reign of terror, you rejected the guns and embraced the ballots. As true sons and daughters of the source, you not only voted, but you defended your votes even at a personal risk to your lives. Again, I doff my cap for your courage and patriotism. Of all development in the last 35 years of the creation of our dear state, this last state election stand out as the toughest test of who we are as a people. By your conduct and the outcome of the polls, Osun people demonstrated to the world that we are indeed the cradle of the Yoruba race, that we are people of valor and integrity.
Today has to do with the campaign that has been launched by the People's Democratic Party for the presidential and National Assembly elections that will be taking place next year. As a matter of fact, the campaign seasons have opened for those two polls. Very soon we're going to open the doors for governorship and state assembly elections. So it was a beehive of activity at the various venues where this campaign took place. And one of the persons who is also vying for the National Assembly seat in the Senate in Ogun Central, Professor Iyabo Obasanjo, who had represented that senatorial district. She's heading back to that senatorial district. This time, she's asking the people, I want to go back, so bring me on board. She's right here with me in the studio.
Hello.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Let me start with your candidacy.
Yes.
Because that's where the window is now allowed for us to begin to talk about campaign.
Yes.
Why are you going back?
I'm going back because I served. We lost. That was what they said. Then we don't know if it was real losing, because now looking back at some of the things the same players have done after, it's questionable whether we actually lost in terms of the people voting. So when we lost, I realized that everybody, as is usual for politicians, and at that time PDP was still in government in Abuja, that everybody will go and be looking for ministerial, looking for board appointment. Unfortunately for me, I had received my PhD. I received my PhD in 1995. I had used it to work, but my reason for getting it was to become an academic, to teach in academia, and I hadn't done that. I had worked in pharmaceutical industry. I'd come back to Nigeria and worked in politics. So I thought this was a good opportunity to do that, and I did. And I was working with it because I got the PhD in the US, went back to the US, was using it to work, and came home and got an invitation to a meeting where people asked me to come back, and about 20 people to 30 people stood up and said, this is what you did for me, either as a commissioner or as a senator. Some personal, some not so personal. And I realized that, and then they said, look, nobody has done half as well as you've done since you left the Senate, and that you delivered. And I thought about it, and so my reason for even coming back into active politics was to was to kind of come back and do what I had done before, but even at a greater level. I was surprised that I'd left for 15 years and people were still talking everywhere I went about what I had done. So that's where I'm back, and that's why I'm going back to the Senate to do the things I had done for the people of Ogun Central, and hopefully at a bolder and a higher level. If people can remember me for 15 years that I have not participated at all, what I'm going to do this time, with God on my side, is do things in a way that 100 years from now people will be talking about not anything but how I served the people.
So let's walk back, because I know you were interested in being governor.
Yes.
You went to the APC, left the PDP, and so many things played out. In fact, we saw the camaraderie between you and Yayi up until the moment when things kind of, I don't know, will I call it the word fallout is the word now?
Yeah, I will explain that.
So help us understand, because
there was no camaraderie. He paid one.
Political camaraderie.
He paid me one visit. The only time we actually had a communication was that one visit. Because when I was active in politics in Ogun State, he wasn't there. I'd never met him before.
Yeah, it was in Lagos.
It was in Lagos. I didn't know many Lagos politicians. I was focused in Ogun State. So when I left, he still wasn't there. So when I came back and it was the gubernatorial aspirants, it wasn't that I joined in that aspirations, never met him, never spoke to him until after they put up his hand as the candidate, which I said nobody told any of us other candidates that was going to happen. And then he reached out to me and said, look, I want to come and meet you and your supporters. And that one occasion, we were there together. It was on camera, because what me and my supporters felt was that we'll welcome him. Is the candidate. We have to be warm and nice. And we did that. And so there was that one day camaraderie.
So what happens afterward? Because let me tell you what we read. So maybe you can clear it.
I wrote it in my letter.
Yes, we saw it. So
yes,
you were saying there was some understanding, but he came and said there was no such understanding.
I'm not even going to go back to that because it's a waste of my time. And if I knew you were going to ask that about this interview, I wouldn't have shown up because it's a waste of my time.
No, it's,
because
it's part of the conversation.
It is
It's
not part
as
of the
if,
conversation.
it's not as if we're going back because
You
it's
are
part of the
going back.
journey. It's
No,
part of the journey.
You're going back because
you're going to be up against his party in this election.
Yes,
and
but
those
I have
things
answered
affect-
it.
yes.
I've answered it in English and in Yoruba. And it hasn't affected anything. I'm out in the field. The people are responding to me like they responded to before because they're responding to my politics. I've said what I said. And if he challenges me again, I will answer him. I've said what I said. He hasn't come back to challenge the truth of the matter. I have people that were at the meeting with me that will testify on my behalf if it comes to that. If he raises the issue again, I will speak on that. I have said what I said. People that know me know I'm not a liar. People that know him know who he is, and I think that is where I will leave that.
Yeah, let's leave it there. Let's stay with your journey.
Yes.
Now, what do you think you're up against as far as this election is concerned? So by that I mean watchers. By that I mean the formidable opposition. You're the opposition now. I mean the APC this time. In terms of what you think you're up against and how you're working to surmount it.
We are always up against a lot in every election because no election is easy. There's always somebody on the other side working against you, right? Doing their own job if they're reasonable. I think for me, one of the things I've noticed in this election is that everywhere we go, we have our plan, what we're going to do. The opposition then comes and follows after, right? We go and see an Oba. They go and see the Oba 2 days later. We go and visit a politician. They come back and visit that same politician. We are not doing that. We have our game plan. We have our understanding with the people. We have what we want to do for them. We have our plans. And we are... we are bringing it out as we're going on. We're just following the plans we have laid out. But it's always formidable to be in opposition and to be trying to remove a ruling government in our state, which is our focus. But I've done it before. I was in the campaign team of Otunba Gbenga Daniel when he removed Governor Shoba as a sitting governor. I was actively part of that campaign. So it's formidable, but also familiar.
Ogun politics is not really easy because there are so many big names. You're one of the big names in the politics. So we're very interested in what plays out in Ogun State. But let me ask you, you've been in the Senate.
Yes.
So this is not your first time. So you're familiar with the territory.
Yeah.
The Ahmed Lawan Senate was called rubber stamp, with greatest respect. Akpabio Senate is more like double rubber stamp. These are what people say, not my words now. So sometimes one wonders, as having been a senator, and now you're trying to go back, what do you prioritize in terms of your representation because of the tripartite role? On one hand, your constituents expect something. On the other hand, the nation expects something from the body called the Senate. So what do you prioritize to be able to say, and how do you now score yourself to say, this is what I will bring to my people as a reason for me to go back or return?
I think you have said it very well already. No one individual in the Senate can deliver for the country. No matter what my plan is for Nigeria, I go to the Senate and there are 109 of us. The bills that I think are important might never get to see the light of day. The things that I think are good, I might lobby from morning till night, talk to my colleagues, do everything I can for them to get them to a position I believe in and not have any success with it. So my own focus is that delivering to my people. If the opportunities arise to do the bills and get my own ideas of what is good laws for Nigeria, I will do it. If opportunities arise to support good bills, I think will help Nigeria, I'll do it. When bills that I don't support come there, I don't have the one power to change it, right? So I'm going to have friends. I build friendships, and I'm going to do the best I can from my own perspective as what is good for our country. But one has to be realistic. That's my one idea and my one vote and my one vision does not a mountain make in the Senate. So to think that one person or even a group of people, there are 109 of us. So and we find that in most in the Nigerian National Assembly, most bills that get passed quickly and easily are the bills from the executive arm. It's very it takes a uphill task for a bill from the a Senate or even House member to actually get passed. That is the truth, and to get signed into law. It happens, but it's not as often as bills from the executive. So it's a high bar to get such bills passed. Most of them die before they even get to first reading.
Are there specific bills you're looking at this time around? Already, are you conceptualizing?
Not really, because it depends on what committee I'm in. For me to conceptualize big ideas without understanding where, because as you know, until everybody is elected, that's when you get your committee, and your committee becomes the focus of what you're going to be able to do in terms of which bills should become prioritized. But the only thing I can assure people is that one of the things that bothers me a lot, I don't know if there will be an opportunity to do it, is the youth unemployment. I think it's I think it's going to be what actually decides whether this country survives long term. I think it's what terrorism comes from. I think it's what banditry comes from. I think it's what all manners of bad behavior, even we're having an explosion of drug use we don't talk about. I think if we don't start to have good, and I don't think it's laws, because laws are important, but talk about it and find implementation ways to look at youth unemployment specifically, because I think that youth unemployment is a
All right.
explosive keg waiting for us in the future.
There are two broad issues I would like to take with you before we wrap up. But I must ask about, because some of us are praying that more women will get to the Senate this time. The numbers are just not acceptable. We cannot have 4 women or 5. In fact, I don't even know. I think there are about 4 right now. One was suspended for 6 months.
I think there are 3, or maybe they can't.
There are 4.
Okay.
But one, I know there's Ireti Kingibe, there is the former deputy governor in River State, there is Natasha, Senator Natasha, and then there's another lady, at least those 4 I can remember. So we need, besides your heritage, you have a second address. So that's why persons like you, people are looking at. But let's talk about, what do you think the nation is missing out in this, I don't know whether it's called suppression or inability to get as many women on the table as possible?
When I was in the Senate, that's when we had the largest number of women. We had 8. So in 1999 to 2003, there had been 2. Then it went to 4 in the Senate before, when I got in 2007. So 2023 to 2027, it was 4. So we doubled to 8. And I thought, naturally, being naive and stupid, that the next Senate will be at least 16 or maybe 12 or 13. We've actually gone back. Since then, I think we went back to 3. And then, like you said, and it's been 3, 4 since 2011. What can I say? I think that I have to put it this way. I think the rules that PDP had in those days helped. So one of the rules the PDP had was that if there was an election or a primary and a woman came second and the man did not get up to 50%, they gave it to the woman and they found something else for the man. Okay. What that meant was a lot of women that would not have had the opportunity were now able to become candidates. And that, I think, helped a lot. But it was a party rule. It was never an
electoral act.
It was never an electoral act. It was never anything. The suppression, what we lose as a society from it is that women, that diversity in politics matters, because everybody brings their experiences into governance, into deliberation.
And their natural advantage.
Women tend to care about education, health, even agricultural, food, because that is because for one, That is, you know those things because everybody knows what they know. And then even professionally, right? Women tend to, some of the first women to get into politics come from nursing, being teachers, being dietitians. So we lose that opportunity to have those diverse voices and opportunity for the things women find important that improve society. Every child is going to be an adult, and although it's women that care most for what is happening to children, it helps men too, because there is 50-50 birth rate. So it's a loss that our society is losing.
Let's go back to Ogun State. So we've talked about your candidacy, and we're going to keep exploring as the campaign continues.
Yes.
But let's talk about what many may be looking at as the argument around equity and fairness. Ogun Central and Ogun East have been producing governors, at least the last 4 governors, including the incumbent who is from Ogun East, if I understand.
Yes.
And then Mr. Adebutu is also from Ogun East.
Yes.
But the candidate of the APC, Yayi, is from Ogun West. Is Yawa. So how does the PDP intend to sell that?
We are not selling anything other than performance. There is no rotation in the constitution in terms of the presidency or in terms of the.
It's just an understanding.
It's not an understanding. It's what we want, because equity is fairness. But fairness, and I tell people, at one point in this country, all the Yoruba people that had been leaders of the country or could have been leaders of were from Ogun State. Obasanjo, Awolowo, Shonekan, Abiola, all of them were from Ogun State. The other Yoruba states did not say, you Ogun State people, yours is too much.
And even this government, they have more Ogun State people, like 4. There's Alako,
I don't know.
There are 4 ministers. I mean 4 ministers.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that...
Okay, 1 has left now.
What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, that is not what is the most important. What is the most important is how did each of those people perform at their jobs? How are they potentially to perform at their jobs? If we keep choosing things based on where the person comes from, and we're choosing incompetence, what does it, or you're choosing whatever thing that person or that person, we want service. What the people of Ogun State want is for success in governance. They want to see the benefits of governance. Not only Ogun State people, everybody everywhere. They want to be able to feed their families. They want good roads, which we don't have in Ogun State. You guys now have a nice road. You are the lucky ones getting to work. Yeah, the lucky ones.
The road is also not so good.
Not good, but it's better than most. I've been around our state. So they want roads. They want hospitals and clinics that work, where they can get healthcare. And they want water.
If Yayi can deliver, and Adebutu will deliver better than Yayi?
Because Ladi serves. Ladi is somebody that has a spirit of serving people. I've seen him at work. His father has done so much charitable work in this country, probably more than anybody. Never had a job in government. Ladi has done the same thing. He has, for the past 20 years, even before he got into politics, he was helping people in charitable things. Money is not where he got into it. His family has money. His siblings are all doing well in their profession. And he could have followed suit. So somebody that really genuinely wants to get into leadership, not to take money from the system, but to actually see people do better. There's nothing about his life that shows, I want to be in government for 30 years. He's been to the House of Rep twice,
yes.
And it was the last time was how many years ago. What I mean is that somebody that is in
government for the service.
Just for the service. So that's why I support him. I see that he's going to be somebody that delivers, because he wants people to do good, to do better in their lives.
All right. Man, we're going to keep the conversation going. The campaign has just started. So it's a long haul. We have about 5 or 4 months to do all of this, and we'll begin to check everybody's promise. Senator Iyabo Obasanjo, she is the senatorial candidate for the PDP for Ogun Central. Thank you for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Ozongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.